Good afternoon, everyone. It's 12:01, so we can get our Grand Round session started today. Welcome to the Department of Medicine Grand Rounds. My name is Hao Tong, and I'm the Inpatient Chief Resident for the University of Washington Department of Internal Medicine. The first part of our session today will be congratulating our Bremner Award winners for this year, and then we will go into the Grand Round speaker for today. To help us announce our Bremner Award winner, thank you, Dr. Bonsall, for coming here.
Great. Thank you so much, Hal. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. It's my absolute privilege on behalf of the Department of Medicine Mentorship Committee to announce this year's William J. Bremner Endowed Mentorship Awards. These awards recognize how critical mentorship is to faculty members' success, and they honor Dr. Bremner, who himself was known as an exemplary mentor. I'd like to acknowledge the members of the Department of Medicine Mentorship Committee who had the very difficult challenge this year of picking only 2 recipients of this award. And so this year's recipients are Dr. Lyles for Excellence in Mentorship of Physician Scientists and Dr. Gallagher for Excellence in Mentorship of Clinician Scholars and Full-Time Clinical Faculty. Congratulations to you both. And I'd like to take just a moment to highlight some of the nomination quotes we received for both Dr. Lyles and Dr. Gallagher. These are quotes in support of Dr. Lyles' application. Dr. Lyles is a true friend. In times of crisis, he's provided the perfect balance of support, humor, and self-reflection. He's the type of mentor I aspire to be when I grow up. He's demonstrated what true dedication as a mentor looks like. He always has a strong interest in mentoring women and individuals from groups that are underrepresented, and he brings enthusiasm, humor, and levity to the lab and makes learning fun. In support of Dr. Gallagher's nomination, received many quotes as well, and these are just some of the quotes that we received. We can think of no individual who better exemplifies the qualities of an outstanding mentor to clinician teachers. He's amongst the very best mentors. He's truly selfless. I hope to emulate Tom's mentorship techniques with my own mentees. His mentorship is foundational for my career, and he's truly invested in helping people find their passion and pursue deep meaning in their work. So with that, I want to say thank you and congratulations to both Conrad and Tom, and thank you for everything you do for the Department of Medicine's faculty. And I'd like to hand it over first to Conrad and then to Tom to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Nisha. It's truly an honor to receive this mentorship award. I was fortunate during the course of my career to receive excellent guidance from my mentors, and I would hope to be able to repay that back. And I've been very fortunate to work with a number of highly talented and hardworking trainees during the course of my career, and nothing pleases me more from a professional standpoint, or even a personal professional standpoint, than to see my former and current trainees excel and succeed in their career paths. So thank you very much for this award.
And Nisha, I just want to echo what Conrad said. It's such an honor to receive this mentoring award. One of the things that I think makes our department so special is our deeply ingrained culture of supporting one another. And I've benefited from countless mentors from the department, and I've been very pleased to support others in the department in this way. I did want to say it's also an especially meaningful award for me, given that it is named in honor of Bill Bremner, who is, I think, unquestionably one of the most gifted mentors I have ever seen. So thanks so much for this lovely recognition.
Well, congratulations to Dr. Lyles and Dr. Gallagher. Thank you so much for Dr. Bonsall for sharing those sentiments from their colleagues. Amazing mentors to everyone in the department. So much deserved honor. Now, our grand round session today will be focused on the strategic planning for the University of Washington Medical Center Department of Medicine, led by Dr. Barbara Jung. Dr. Jung is a professor and chair of medicine at the University of Washington and holds the Robert G. Petersdorf Endowed Chair in Medicine. She is currently the vice president of the American Gastroenterology Association and will become president in May of 2023. As a practicing gastroenterologist and physician scientist, her expertise in gastrointestinal disease is extensive, and her research interests range from a basic to clinical science. She completed her medical degree with thesis at the Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich, Germany. She then moved to the United States and completed postdoctoral studies in colon cancer in San Diego, California, followed by internal medicine residency and gastroenterology fellowship at the University of California in San Diego. Dr. Jung's research interests include both clinical and basic research, and she has a strong record of fostering research collaboration between basic, translational, and clinical research. Her NIH-funded laboratory centers on TGF-beta family member signaling and GI disease, including colorectal cancer and pancreatitis. She's an academician at heart and passionate about leading with empathy and through empowerment of others and training the next generation of diverse clinicians, educators, scientists, and leaders. Thank you so much for being here today, Dr. Jung.
Thank you, Hal, for that wonderful introduction. And again, congrats to Conrad and Tom. I will just say, when Conrad heard about this, he walked by my office and he said, that was quite a surprise. And it was not a big surprise to me, but as you will see, we have so much to draw from in the department, and I'm really excited to present this to you today. So I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. So I am so excited to present the state of the department to all of you today. So what I thought I'd do today is, and this is very timely, celebrate the 75 years this department has been in place first and talk about that. Then move to accomplishments, talk about a strategic plan update, and then end with some challenges and opportunities that we're all facing. We will have time for Q&A, so feel free to drop them in the chat as you go along. I can stop my presentation if anything urgent comes up. How we'll be monitoring that, or there'll be time at the end. So in commemoration of our 75th year, we are the first department here at UW. We're highlighting our achievements with particular spotlights on division throughout the year. With divisional input, we have put forward 75 change makers, as well as emerging leaders and division spotlights as examples of our past and our future. As a theme for this talk, this list will be by no means inclusive. And so this is a theme that will continue. In fact, by default, there's so many omissions. Please understand that there are just too many accomplishments and outstanding individuals or programs to choose from. So these highlights really are just a representative of all of you. We've had a lot of fun of designing and distributing the swag. I see many of you walking around with them, and I hope you showcase them proudly. Please check out the website and share it broadly. We have a book coming out soon, and there's so much to celebrate. I want to now move to accomplishment. Again, I need to preface that this is not an inclusive and exhaustive list. It's a snapshot and cause for celebration. So these are just some basic stats. Our department is very large. Over 3,500 faculty, trainees, and staff, 47 endowed chairs and professorships, 32 fellowships, 12 teachers in perpetuity, over 250,000 inpatient encounters, over 338,000 outpatient encounters, 100+ clinics where procedures take place, and over 300 million in research funding. The breakdown of our faculty at press time, 1,356 paid faculty. And you see the track on the right with the clinician faculty being in the majority, followed by physician scientists and close third of clinician scholars, teaching associates, acting faculty, and research faculty. We currently have 944 staff. Understand that that's a number that's lower than usual due to some vacancies and turnover. 462 trainees, 35 research centers, 13 T32s, and 29 unique current care awards. And I just heard from Dr. Banschel, it might be 30 soon. This pie chart shows the total funding of our $106 million budget. This is an overall increase of $66 million with an 8% increase from FY22 total. This stems from an increase in clinical funding by 16%, an increase in research funding by 2%, and an increase in affiliate funding by 11%. and a decrease in state funding by 7%. So as an internal note to this, if you look at the pie chart, clinical includes PSA funding, pro-free revenue for non-PSA, direct hospital funding, and hospital program support. Research is based on expenses and not awards. Gift and endowments include current use gifts and endowment income, but it's not the endowment principal. Affiliate is usually salary expense, and this is PDR salaries from VA, FHCC, and the former Northwest Department 65. Of note, as you can see clearly here, state WWAMI support only makes up 1% of our budget. So with this budget, our overall goal for the department is to invest in our strategic priorities. We are deeply committed to address the gap in faculty salaries against the AAMC benchmarks. We also want to continue to improve our operating margin through economies of scale, expense reduction, and increase revenue, so we have more money to invest. What is our operating margin? This allows for investment in strategic priorities, and I want to remind everybody that this is basically just a reflection of our revenue minus expenses. So there's a lot of levers we have on each side, and that we use this for faculty recruitment and retention. So while fiscal year 2020, we ended up with a balanced budget, which was actually good compared to where we could have ended up. We've had a robust margin of 3.7, about 3.5% on average. So what are we doing around faculty salaries? Faculty salaries as a whole have increased by a total of 26 million, and this includes unit adjustment, merit, and promotion. We've separately obtained 2.7 million in hospital support. So this is part of this, but it's distinct from general merit and unit adjustments for hospital support for salary adjustments here. Highlighting the gifts we've received, for FY22, we've received 50 million in gift funding by 1,999 donors. For FY23, as of January, so halfway through, we're pretty much at that same mark with 7.5 million gift funding by 904 donors. Highlighting some notable gifts this year, $1 million pledge payment to the Diabetes Institute, a $563,000 pledge payment to the David S. and Nadia Auderbeck Endowed Professorship in honor of Raj Mehrotra in nephrology, $500,000 gift to Merkel cell carcinoma research and Paul Neum in dermatology, $350,000 gift to allergy infectious disease and parasitology, and another gift to AID for monkeypox research, and a $200,000 pledge payment to Carl and Winnie Binke Endowed Professorship for Asian Health. We're very strong in garnering research awards. We closed out 2022 with 303 million, as I alluded to in an earlier slide. This is mostly made up by government federal funding, so NIH funding, followed by domestic industry funding and a smattering of association funding, foundation funding, and foreign industry funding. We all know grants and papers track in many ways. Again, too many to choose from, too many highlights. Everybody's working within the department, outside of the TARP department, and we have very high impactful publications. Tom mentioned working together. We are a very collaborative department, and I wanted to share some exciting collaborative initiatives that are ongoing. We're very excited that we reinvigorated the Microbiome Center with the appointment of a new transformative leader, Dr. Joseph Morjou, who is in the Department of Microbiology and a HHMI investigator who truly will take this to the next level. We've been very busy at integrating with the FHCC. This is a full financial integration, which was led by the system, but of course, we have both division of hematology and oncology. And we are synergizing through joining those divisions currently. The Medical Genetics Counseling graduate program continues to be a source of great pride. We are one of the few departments who has graduate programs, and the graduation for the counseling program is tomorrow, which is very exciting. We run exceedingly successful clinical research methods course that's actually ongoing right now and is in collaboration with the Department of Pediatrics. It's run by Brian Kestenbaum. It's a fast-paced 11-week clinical research methods certificate course for our next generation to become impactful in clinical research. We've been busy preparing the transition of dermatology to a department. We've also developed a physician-scientist learning pathway in the IM residency, in addition to the many other pathways we have. We are deep underway in searching for a UW Diabetes Institute director. And the Sepsis Center of Research Excellence score is a poster child for a DOM-based global collaboration between a whole network, including hospitals, industry, blood banks, universities, and funding partners. Highlights in terms of clinical collaborations, the UW Medicine Transplant Institute has been launched. It is the first time that we have a truly co-governed, co-directed institute with equal input from medicine and surgery. The Living Donor Liver-Related Transplant Program, in collaboration with Seattle Children's, has had the highest volume in adult to pediatric liver transplant in the US in 2022. We've launched a new joint diagnostic center of excellence for patients that experience delay in cancer diagnosis. And the structural heart program continues to shine as a national leader with over 450 transcatheter aortic valve replacements and is therefore in the top 5. And the signature mitral clip repairs, which we're really unique for. And I want to just call out Jamie McCabe. Many of this has gone viral over the last couple of years. We're also deeply involved with rehab medicine and the post-COVID long COVID clinic, and we've been quoted in the local press as treating long haulers and seeing such an increase in patients. Everyone has worked very hard. These are I mentioned the inpatient, outpatient encounters. These are the work RVUs, and this excludes ARNPs. So let me move to a strategic plan update. I presented this before. We developed a department-wide strategic plan based on priorities and a 5-year plan. We felt it was really important. This effort was started in the summer of 2020 to collectively define where we're going together, particularly in times of intense outside pressure and change. So where we are right now is we've created work groups and funding through which existing and new requests for programmatic or financial support can be reviewed and prioritized by such groups. We're currently building out mechanism through which we can achieve what we decide we want to deliver. And that includes data collection analysis, project management support, and funding for other activities as aligned with the strategic plan. So the current structure of these work groups is the plan resulted in these key results areas, which you see on the left, and these are the pillar of the departmental work. The KRA lead in innovation of patient care and delivery and research resulted in 2 work groups, one research with with diet leads, Kelly Uchkin and Nisha Bansal. The diet leads will always be a staff leader and a faculty leader. The second work group in the innovation work group is clinical innovation with diet leads Josh Leo and Elisa Williamson. For the KRI of nurturing a supportive collaborative structure where equity, diversity, and inclusion are at the center, we have Dr. David Horn, the new associate chair for DI, and Sean Greenlee, our DI program manager, as leads. Regarding the KRA, invest in our trainee staff and faculty. We have 2 work groups, one focused on professional development, co-led by Cynthia Cole, Betsy Buswell, and Bryn Waswick, as well as well-being with diet leads Cynthia Cole and Jackie Monroe, academic director of HR. In order to elevate and sustain excellence in teaching, we have an education work group with diet leads Kelly Corning and Ken Steinberg. So the work groups have been very busy. It is a lot of work, and they have identified 33 year 1 deliverables to help achieve the outcomes related that we had identified in the KRAs. So in the next slides, I'll show you a snapshot of some of those deliverables identified by some of these, by the work groups. So for the KRA to lead in innovation of patient care delivery and research and the clinical innovation work group, in order to optimize our clinical activity and the delivery of care, we created two new positions. Dr. Rob McClelland is our new executive vice chair, and Alyssa Williamson is our new senior director of clinical programs to fully move that work forward. We realized that we needed an initial assessment of clinical trials infrastructure and resources, as we honed in very early on that clinical innovation, our department, very much is based on clinical trial access and activation. We also wanted to define innovations, data needs, and goals and metrics for clinical trials as part of this, as well as potential structures to promote design, evaluation, and dissemination of clinical trials. For the research work group, the current aim is to determine consistent, measurable benchmarks for research funding. This stemmed from a discussion to understand where are we at right now, where do we want to go, and how do we best measure what is success. So this is being determined. A focus on building out opportunities for cross-divisional department and school research. As I've shown, we're very collaborative. We do our best work when we work with others, so we want to double down on that. For the KRI, around nurturing a supportive, collaborative culture where equity, diversity, and inclusion are at the center, we have two DI leaders that are already introduced earlier, Sean Greenlee on the left, program manager, and Dr. David Horn, new associate chair for diversity, equity, inclusion from the Division of Pulmonary Critical Care and Sleep Medicine. So one of the initiatives was supporting funding and appointing the new associate chair for DI. We finished the BRIM climate survey. This is bias reduction in internal medicine. We extended the first inaugural Gender Equity Awards, both with a mentorship and trailblazer category. We established a bias navigator program and expanded services for gender diverse patients. We also launched a new health equity and anti-racism curriculum, which I'll present to you later. And we've recruited the most diverse intern class ever. In addition, we're partnering on a national diversity lecture series in collaboration with the Institute for Common Power, led by Dr. Terry Scott. To continue to support our next generation, the DATSTAR Awards were created in 2020, and I'm very happy to highlight here our 2022 recipient, Dr. Busola Oluwole from the Division of Hematology. Regarding the inaugural DOM Gender Equity Awards for mentorship, very proud to announce Michi Shinwara, and as a trailblazer, Stephanie Page. The IM residency staff won as a group with Kelly Corning, Kelly Locke, Javelle Cullen, Andrea Campbell, Brian Valentine, and Whitney Harper. On top of it, they are now nominees for the UW Distinguished Staff Awards, so I keep my fingers crossed. We decided to invest in our trainee staff, faculty and staff, and that it is really important. And the work group supported reconnection events. So I'm showing some pictures here of people reconnecting with each other. We decided that this is one of the highest priorities to support the well-being of our community. And with this, we launched the Reconnection Seed Fund project to support community building and college and colleague connections. To further invest in our trainee staff and faculty, we doubled down on recruitment. We've filled key leadership positions, and this is a list of the division heads: Dr. Tanya Carr in GI, Geethanjali Chanda in GIM, Rashish Mehrotra in nephrology, and Thomas Muslin in rheumatology. Associate chairs with Betsy Buswell, David Horn, Cynthia Cole, Josh Liao, and staff below here: Marisa Benich in nephrology, Mona Dupre in hematology, Sean Greenlee in DEI, Emily Lamont everywhere. Inga Manskampf at Harborview, Jackie Monroe, Academic HR, Dana Pentelev, Chair's Office, Rosa Pashu, GI, Ruth Sanchez in Student Services. Let me go back one. We are also currently searching for 3 division heads, cardiology, combined hem-onc, and pulmonary, and many of you are part of these processes. To invest in our faculty, we needed to pivot on really supporting promotion. Very proud to report that we've seen a 250% increase in proposed promotion of full-time clinical faculty for July of this year, and a 64% in non-mandatory proposed promotions for assistant professor to associate professor. There's been an overall heightened awareness of criteria and process improvement by divisions in the department, and this we feel is resulting in a greater number of faculty promotions. And lots of work has gone into proposing specific pathways, namely DEI and QI, so that work that's being done gets recognized and used for promotion. Regarding professional development, we completed a landscape survey of existing ProfDev resources, and a page was created on the DOM website with existing staff and faculty resources, so we can easily access what exists if people want to get additional training. We launched a robust DOM leadership development program, and we're currently assessing the outcomes. That program focuses very heavily on dyad leadership, so really strengthening the ties between physician and staff leadership. And a staff ProfDev scholarship fund is being created as we speak. Regarding the KRA to elevate and sustain excellence in teaching, we secured funding and initiated the search, and the search will be initiated for the Vice Chair of Education. We will launch teaching profiles highlighting different teachers across the educational spectrum because we have our hand in everything. Undergrad, UME, GME, and CME in the department newsletter and on the news side, highlighting all the accomplishments. Measures assessing the preparedness of our graduates is being piloted. One question was, we are very successful in training the next generation. Are we capturing how prepared folks are after they've been trained us? So we're going to analyze this. And the other one is, we know we're training leaders, but can we have metrics around that, and can we have data showing this? So we're analyzing that right now. I'm proud to present to you both Drs. Neha Deshpande and Jennifer Wright, who are our new UWMC Site Director and Clerkship Director, respectively, for the medicine student programs. They take over for Dr. Powell, although Dr. Powell is still very helpful because he'd been the Director of Student Teaching for the Department of Medicine since 1992, and we had a wonderful event honoring everything that he's done for the department over that long period of time. I mentioned this earlier. Recent graduates of our IM Residency Program have received a grant to build a longitudinal health equity and anti-racism curriculum within the internal medicine residency. So this is up and running. And very excitingly, we have a new residency program based in Alaska. At its January meeting, the ACGME gave the initial accreditation after much work that went into it to a new internal medicine residency program based in the DOM. Now, this program will be a mouthful. It will be called the University of Washington Alaska Internal Medicine Rural Residency Program, UW-AKIM-RRP. And the program's mission is to provide an intensive Alaska-based rural primary care focused training experience. It will be the first of its kind in the country. So shout out to Ken, Gail, and Megan for all the work they did on this. What an achievement and very exciting. Okay, stuck. A little backwards. Okay. Yeah, all right. So How will we share our progress going forward? So I talked about the 6 strategic plan implementation work groups. I talked about the year 1 deliverables, which you can find on the internet. This is where resource requests get submitted and reviewed. We have developed a draft dashboard and it is live. And there's a communication plan to share quarterly updates, both with the department and UW Medicine as a whole. Here I'm showing you a dashboard sample with status keys of completed, on track, delayed, or significantly delayed and paused. And so you can see that there'll be certain deliverables like Bias Navigator program initiated and we're on track, or others that we are still working on, or we need a data analyst to do more work. So this is how we want to report out to the larger community. I will now switch to challenges and opportunities. Challenges are many. Research faces challenges with staff recruitment and retention, lots of local competition, the ever-present salary cap funding that is growing, and how we best manage space post-COVID, and how do we remanage space. Education challenges, increasing program staffing and leadership requirements, with funding remaining flat or decreasing over time. I'm not exaggerating if I say that academic medicine is under threat. There's been tremendous financial losses around the nation, particularly in mission-based systems, much to do with high labor costs, increased length of stay, many structural issues, as well as serving the mission that we're serving. UW Medicine has very specific challenges. We are very capacity constrained. We live in a high cost of living area. And it is a large system with very strong local identities and room for efficiency. We all know that burnout is paramount. I know all of you in your team feel the burnout. COVID has left many exhausted and unengaged. Mental health disorders are sky high amongst ourselves or our families or our communities. There's a general sense of loss of connection. Patient complexity is an all-time high, and it's very exhausting for providers to not be able to provide the care that they strive to for the barriers that were mentioned. The EMR has posed a lot of challenges with people working longer hours and never-ending time on the computer. It's a culture, the culture has suffered in a general world of depersonalization. We see high staff turnover, which then leads to inefficiencies and much frustration on all sides when things don't work as quickly as we would like them to. So what can we do? Working together. And that's what I want to end my talk on in general, is the sense that we are this large department. We've done all these things together, and we will continue to thrive. We have an outcome-focused plan. We need to continue to celebrate the results and each other. We do need to give each other grace and be patient. We have a real opportunity to align with opportunities around us. Mission Forward is coming and is present, and there's going to be an increase in systemness, which we will benefit from. We can anchor on getting everybody to the 50th WMC, align with leadership and professional development, and we will also benefit from data and IT improvement and analytics. We will continue to provide strong direction outward facing. We are the largest department. We will also continue to influence region and nationally on all aspects of our mission and to put forth innovative solutions to these ubiquitous challenges. We need to continue to accelerate our team approach to continue our success. So change is ahead. We have a real opportunity to shape the future of the department, and I would say with this, to shape the future of UW Medicine. We need to continue to be strategic. There's an opportunity now to discard what no longer serves us and stay focused on what we have elevated as our priorities together. We need to respectfully dissent and engage and work together to move everything forward. With this, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the DOM faculty, DOM staff, the trainees, leadership division heads, the central team, the Seattle community, the students, my fellow chairs, hospital partners, the school, UW Medicine community, and last but not least, our patients. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jung, for celebrating our accomplishments, providing us with departmental updates, and addressing the challenges ahead. It truly has been a whirlwind of a year. So I now invite our participants to submit any questions that they may have that may arose from Dr. Jung's talk. Feel free to chime in via video. I actually don't know if that's an option, but perhaps submit in the chat box anything that may have come to your mind as Dr. Jung went through with her presentation.
Yes, and I'm gonna see those. So how's gonna help me as I look through some of these questions? So I'm gonna do, first of all, I wanna acknowledge that there's more K awards coming, as Dr. Conrad Lyles posted in the chat. We have the strategic plan website is posted in here, and so is the celebrating the 75 years. Oh, let me see. So Dr. Mehrotra says, can you address how the financial challenges faced by the hospitals affect the Department of Medicine? Well, I would say we are the biggest and strongest department, and we're part of UW Medicine. So if the hospitals are in financial trouble, it does affect us because we are part of them. Very specifically, I do see a lot of opportunities because I think it will force change that will make things more efficient, that will ultimately benefit all of us. So right now, there's a plan put forward called Mission Forward that had a 90-day plan that was shared out, which mostly focused on efficiencies as they relate to revenue cycle. There'll be others. I think one thing that I think we can really think about is using our own internal planning to help with the overall planning. What are our priorities? We know we're anchored in our mission. How are we going to achieve this? Because right now we have a very strong voice. And so I invite all of you to think about that as we're going forward. Let me see.
Dr. Jung, there was another question here. Where do you stand on eliminating the non-compete clause for new faculty recruits?
Yes, thank you very much. And I think this was from Kim. So for those of you who don't know, UWP, so we again, as a department, are part of a larger system. UWP is the part that actually comes up with contracts for physicians. As part of this, UW Medicine has had a non-compete for a long time. There's been questions because the non-compete, while it may benefit the system and it benefits groups, it may feel punitive to the individual. So we've had a lot of questions about this over time. I can't say where we're going to go on this right now. I know that the landscape nationally may be changing and that I am in discussions with UWP around this to represent the department. So there's a question whether I can deliver this presentation at each of the campuses, and I would be happy to do so. And in fact, I would hope we can do that in person. So Dr. Werfel is asking, is there a department-wide strategy for right-sizing the proportion of clinical faculty versus physician scientists and clinician scholars? That is a very good question. Right now, the answer is we don't have a department-wide strategy. And I think part of the challenges without having a strategy is that things start to happen organically without us having a plan around it. So I do think over time, this is worth thinking about. What is the right size? And I like the wording he's using of physician scientists and clinician scholars in this mix, looking at how we support such people appropriately so everyone can be successful. So I will take that as a suggestion, Dr. Werfel, and I think we should look at this. Dr. Van Voorhees, with so many missions, it's hard to focus. Yes, I can see that given limited faculty and staff time and resources. How do you know where it is strategic to focus? Okay, do you think you get enough feedback from faculty to know where to prioritize? So this is why I think the strategic plan was really helpful because we did not turn anyone away. We did focus groups. We did a big survey. We asked everyone, what are your specific priorities? Now, we understand priorities may change. I think one key reason to prioritize is just that you have to have some sort of list of priorities. So I think one question you're asking is, do we have the right priorities? And I would say we needed to start with prioritizing something so we don't just do everything. I think the challenge is that we dilute ourselves too much and we're not prioritized. So we said we're going to prioritize. We do have the work groups where everybody is invited to join and help prioritize. I did not want to be the only person prioritizing for the department. So that's one of the reasons we have the work groups. But the work groups also need to stay focused. So they need to stay focused on what we committed to. So that's going to be an iterative process. Dr. Gallagher says, can you say a little about how faculty, staff, and trainees with ideas for improvement can align with the strategic planning process? Yes, we won't turn anyone away. You can email to Dom Chair. I'm going to offer you up, Tom, because you've been a strong leading force in the strategic plan. Come to us with ideas, thoughts, and if you want to engage. Again, it is work. That's why the name is called Workgroup. It's a massive amount of work. And we also fully understand that many of you are over capacity. But if people want to be part of this, there's room to be part of it. So Peter Byers. So I think the question is, where do we sit with genetics within medicine, and that we have an opportunity to include genetics into medicine? And I couldn't agree with you more. We are exploring an opportunity to integrate genetics into internal medicine training. Oh, are there any concerns about the progress we're going to be able to make over the next year, given the challenges and competing priorities that financial transformation will bring? It's a very good question. So we're in the middle of UW financial transformation, which is a university-led process, which is massive, which is basically going to align all the way finances have been run with lots of work, big investments. And it's going to take a lot of time to do that. So Sam is absolutely right, particularly when it comes to staff time. So the word prioritization goes in again. I will say for budgeting, we have budgeted to support all the endeavors that we want to accomplish. So we are committed to them. And so I don't see the support for that to be a challenge. Time is always going to be a challenge, nearly as big as budget, or maybe even more. So Ruth calls out the workgroup coordination as being great. So, and she's calling out Laura Rich. Thank you, Laura, for coordinating all this. So that's nice to hear. Marisa is posting, department's priorities and approach to benchmark faculty salaries according to WMC West Coast data so we can remain competitive in our region. Yes, that's a very good point. So this has been brought up. We are currently benchmarking to WMC nationally. The question is that the right benchmark? Because we're located on the West Coast and our that's where we live. That's the cost of living we have, and that's our competitors. So we've taken that into account for sure. This is one where it goes back to Raj's question. It is challenging, of course, to move forward faculty compensation when the hospital system is losing significant amounts of money. I will tell you, I'm on the benchmarking work group that benchmarks productivity and WMC with the goal of getting to WMC funding. And I've been a fervent supporter of making sure that the faculty get recognized for the work. Now, the system understands this. Our interim dean, Tim Dellett, understands this. Everybody understands that the faculty need to be supported and need to be valued. And you have a strong advocate in me. I've worked very hard on moving that forward, but we have ways to go. Can you provide concrete examples of the statement we made? We have discarded things, processes that no longer work for us. to clarify, we should discard things that no longer work for us. And I think we should have an open lens for that. I can't name anything specific. I will just give examples of thinking about the way we did things, and are there ways to do things better? Can we utilize staff better, support them more so they can work more efficiently? Why are processes taking so long? What processes may we not need? What programs may not have worked? So I don't have a blanket statement, or I don't have a specific example of something where I'm saying I'm no longer doing this right now. There's too many. I think we need to approach everything with, we need to do things differently. It is very clear that we're not efficient enough. And I mean this in serving all of us, in being able to see patients when we're in the office, with people being able to access us. Now, this is out of our control, but that's something that doesn't serve us anymore. We need better access. But I would also say internally on how we submit, let's say, T32 grants. Do we need to do this in a centralized fashion so we can align on a systemic basis? So it's ongoing work, but it's ongoing work for all of us. And having the courage to say, this no longer works.
And Dr. Jung, for those who are interested in providing any support or input to the strategic planning committee, where should they email their input? I can pop that into the chat as well.
Yes, they can email to DOM chair. Laura, can you pop it in? I'm sure Laura can put in the links.
Thank you.
There you go. Oh, Betsy did. Thank you, Betsy. Are there plans, so this is from Eric Morel, are there plans about integrating the VA more with the department, particularly from a research standpoint, shared faculty positions, more streamlined grant administration? So very good question. Eric, we just did a division head meeting at the VA, which was wonderful and really showed us even more the opportunities we have, particularly on a research basis to collaborate. And we've been very successful. The VA faculty is exceedingly successful and nationally known for the work they do. I do think we need to partner more from a research standpoint and from a training standpoint in terms of split staff faculty positions. That has been a system-wide stance that this is not done as much here as maybe some other institutions. There's pluses and minuses to that. We're open to exploring. Right now, that is not something that's done routinely. There's pluses and minuses, and I can take that offline with you if you would like. But yes, absolutely, the VA is a pillar of our research and education mission, and I would say that will only continue to grow, particularly in the time of intense financial pressure on the hospital system at UWMC. Speaking of processes, this is Johnny Orozco from oncology. How would you revisit the acting instructor role as a hurdle to academic medicine? Can we say, does this still works in our goal of recruiting new faculty, especially faculty of color? I think I need a little more around this. I will say we're looking within the department. The acting instructor is used in different ways in different divisions. And we also understand that the divisions are very different, both in their pathways and the work they do. So it's good to have some flexibility, but as a department, we're looking at the use of acting instructor. It is interesting, I would say, Johnny, that we've just had one division where the trainees all want to be acting instructors. And so there's lots of voices and opinions around that. I would love to hear more in terms of your thoughts around faculty of color and a particular barrier with this title. So that would be interesting for me to hear. So Carolyn Keller says, another barrier to improving EDI recruitment is our inability to sponsor H-1B visas for clinical instructors. Is that something that can be looked at? We can look at it for sure. The visa process has always been very challenging in this country. It's not gotten easier since COVID. It's cumbersome and very expensive. And this is something we have to work with Upper Campus on. So again, I'm happy to take that offline. It is challenging, and many of these are outside of the department's direct control. But definitely we should look into it. I was saying in the residency, we want to look into being more open to international medical graduates and working on some of those barriers, because we feel it would add diversity to our residency. And there are ways we can work on those barriers internally. So where we can, we will. Sometimes we have external barriers that can be challenging to overcome. So there's another shout out for genetic counseling graduation that's happening tomorrow. So question by about, are there any changes to how oncology research will be overseen with the merger between FHCC and SCCA and the state of the Cancer Consortium? That's a big question. I would say right now there's no changes. There's a lot of opportunities. We will continue to work closer and closer together, but with the FHCC and the SCCA, because really the FHCC has encompasses the SCCA, I don't expect any changes. I think what we're working on is better aligning the UW side with the FHCC. So from Dr. Gaster, it's going quickly, hold on. Clinical faculty, so Dr. Gaster wants to highlight the essential role clinical faculty increasingly playing to meet the teaching and leadership missions of our department, plug in to shift the term full-time clinical faculty and shift instead to more clear term of clinical faculty, worrying that this might be discount incredibly important efforts to our education mission. Yes, we have a whole work group looking at how to best value and support our clinical faculty. We do know that they're the engine of the department. We also know that they contribute in many ways, and that historically there's been a sense of feeling undervalued. So it's on our radar, but, and I fully agree, there are superstars, that there are our superstars, as Dr. Gaster points out. So we have a work group around this. Ken Steinberg and Brad Annewald are working on this, so please connect with them with further thoughts. Dr. Dean, BIPOC faculty already have issues with promotion matriculation to leadership positions. Okay, so we're chiming in on clinical instructor positions may further extend that timeline. The extended timeline may add to job dissatisfaction. Yes, okay, so I'm hearing a push to not have BIPOC faculty be in instructor positions. So yeah, Jason, we can look at this very carefully. I don't know that they are. I would want to look at the data. Are they truly in more instructor positions? And if they are, is this something that maybe for particular circumstances they may have chosen? Because again, one other part is that we want people to be successful. We want them to get promoted, and we want them to have the time to get there. And so once the clock starts ticking, you can't stop it. So there might be reasons it may work for a particular individual. So far we found it helpful to have some leverage there and try to really individualize that. But happy to talk more about that and look at that data. I thank you all for your questions. I'm glad I'm getting questions.
And thank you to all the support staff for popping in those emails. Essentially emailing domchair@uw.edu and CCing Laura Rich on those emails to help her navigate them.
So I think how maybe we,
So You've got one more. I was just going to close it too, Dr. Jung, but it looks like something came through from Judith C. Can you speak to trickle down of indirect funds and whether they can be channeled to research scientists who apply or get NIH grants?
Yes. So, as I showed in the pie chart earlier, we've been very successful at getting NIH grants. And the question always comes up is like, do we get the support necessary to support that research? And the answer is we don't currently get that support. And so the question then always comes up is, how are the indirect funds that come to the institution used? And each institution has a different way of allocating this. Some places you pay rent. I mean, in the end, there's many different ways to distribute those funds. I will say that there's larger discussions on looking at that again, particularly as the hospitals struggle financially, to really look at research bucket as a specific research bucket and how much indirects should we be getting to really support that mission. And I would actually strongly advocate both for the education mission and the research mission to look very carefully, what does it cost to do research? What does it cost to do education? And what are the respective funding mechanisms? And if there are mechanisms to fund this, they should go towards that. Any last questions?
Well, lots of thank yous coming through the chat now. But for me, myself, thank you so much, Dr. Jung, for all the insight in how the department is doing and all the recognition of everyone that's put in such tremendous amount of effort to helping everyone. I will put you also in contact with the other sites. It sounds like there was some interest in you having the same update talk at the VA as well as Harborview. So I'll put your team in contact with the chiefs over there to help set that up. But thank you so much for being here today. And thank you everyone for all the questions. Hopefully this was helpful. There's a lot of thank yous coming through. I want you to get the recognition, Barbara. Also, thank you for working with the Resident Diversity Committee. I know that you've put in a lot of time in supporting them over the last couple of years during your time here. I myself had worked with them when I was a resident, so we were really appreciative of your support.
They are a priority.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to end the session here.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Hao. Thank you so much.